Well, good morning. Welcome to We the People Prepping. This is Dan. Let's talk a little bit more about the things that are going on in the news right now. You know, read some pretty interesting articles. Uh, there are some new startup companies in California that are basically taking the animals out of meat and dairy. Um, they're using They're taking proteins from cows and crossing them with plant genetics and making for milk. So it's not just going to be soy milk anymore and stuff like that, or almond milk. It's actually going to be plants that are genetically infused with animal DNA. I'm not exactly sure how this works. I'll post an article to it in the description, though. Now, personally, myself, I will not drink that kind of crap. You know, I will stick with animal milk, and if they stop producing animal milk on the market, hey, we got a milk cow. You know, I'll drink it straight from the cow, or we've also got a few goats. One of which just gave birth not that long ago, so she's still producing milk. But the thing is, I don't do soy meat or anything like that. Those Impossible burgers and all that kind of crap. Soy is detrimental to men to begin with. It lowers your testosterone. Not a good thing, So yeah, I'm not going to be doing any of that fake meat or fake dairy products. They can keep that stuff. They wonder why that there are so many men that are effeminate nowadays. Well, you put a lot of soy and other things that lower the testosterone levels, which are important to a man's development in his younger years, especially. So yeah, you're going to get a lot more effeminate men. Right now, China is having a huge problem with effeminate men. They're actually teaching masculinity in schools over there now. It's a new program that they started. I think this is pretty funny because here in America, they are trying to feminize men. Trying to make it to where men become women in this country. Well, China's doing the opposite of what America's doing. I mean, we're trying to feminize men here. They're trying to make men there. They've had a huge decline in actual men over there. They've become so effeminate that it become a national crisis, which is what's going to wind up happening here. I mean, these are actual news articles that I've read, and it just astounds me, the stupidity in the news. In other news, though, did you know that we're running out of sand? Yeah, that's according to a news article that I'm going to post in the link. The world is running out of sand. Okay, because we use sand in pretty much everything: the making of glass, the paving of roads, making of concrete. We use the silicone from the sand to make the silicon from sand to make solar panels and computer chips and all that. So according to this article, it is becoming an existential crisis because I'm not sure exactly why, but the I mean, last I knew, we still had a lot of desert and all that, and I mean, you can find sand pretty much everywhere. You can mine sand from the bottom of the ocean. I mean, there's a lot of sand. So I'm not sure exactly how we are running out, but according to this article, we are running out of sand. Okay, well, and they're saying that it's going to become a problem in the future. I'm not I'm not following their logic, considering, I mean, sand can actually be made. You know, so I mean, all sand is weathered rock that's been, you over the decades, millennia, whatever it takes, for the weather to erode rock into sand. So, we can actually, like I said, we can make sand ourselves. So, for this to become a problem, I'm not sure, but I'll post the article down here. It's astounding. And then we've got another problem with sand as well. Back when atomic testing was going on, France apparently had done some atomic tests in the Sahara Desert. Well, here recently there was a huge sandstorm that swept out of the Sahara Desert all over Europe, France, and the UK and all that, and it turned the sky kind of a golden color, around sunset and sunrise. But the problem with this is that the sand that was swept up out of the Sahara was radioactive sand. When the sand was tested from the samples they took that had settled on cars and things like that, they ran tests on it, and it was radioactive sand. So we have created a problem for ourselves with our irresponsible testing of nuclear weapons in the past. And then you have the Bikini Atoll, where the United States had tested nuclear weapons in the Pacific. According to the research, the coral reefs around the Bikini Atoll is more radioactive than that of Chernobyl, which is astounding, considering you can't really live, you can't even be around in the Chernobyl area for an extended amount of time without it causing all sorts of health problems. And then there's another island there, I forget the name of the island, but we had a atomic bunker, basically, is what it amounts to, where we stored atomic waste and so forth. And they're saying now that it's showing signs that it's leaking into the ocean, into the Pacific Ocean, which is causing mutations in plants and animals in the water. See, so all of this stuff that I'm talking about right now is stuff that is a problem that was caused by the government. The governments worldwide caused all these problems, and now they're basically, they're not really accepting any responsibility for it. They're more or less punishing you and me for their fuck ups. It's astounding, really is, that no government really wants to take responsibility for their screw ups. They want to blame everybody else. And these are the same people that they screwed up all this stuff. Now we're supposed to just accept their science or whatever the hell you want to call it. What they tell us is supposed to be, like the word of God, basically. I question everything that the government tells because I know that 99.99% of it is bullshit. You might get a 0.1 or 0.001% that's actual fact and reliable. But you know, I mean, come on, these are the people telling us that cow farts are what's destroying the atmosphere. They're what's causing all the global warming and all that. No, it's not cow farts. I hate to break it to you guys, but cow farts have nothing to do with it. The animals and humans and everybody, we all produce methane gas, and the methane's not the problem. Okay, the problem is all of the pollutants that these countries are throwing into the air. I mean, yeah, America has the cleanest air in the world, but how clean can it really be considering all the pollutants thrown into the air by places like China and India and other countries that are not really adhering to like the environmental standards that the rest of the world is trying to adhere to. I mean, America has the strictest EPA standards in the world. I mean, really, we do. But yet, like this Paris Climate Accord agreement, the nation of China doesn't even have to rein in any of their pollution until like I think it was the year 2050. That's when they actually have to start to, but yet we here in America are supposed to be putting in more and more restrictions. We have to meet a stricter standard than what they do. That's why Trump got us out of the Paris Climate Accord, because it was unfair to America. We're paying a bigger price than what China is, or some of these other countries even, and we're funding more of this than any of these other countries. So, yeah, I agree. We should never have gotten into that. And the dumbass that's in office now is putting us right back into this crap, and, one of the ways that Trump helped out as well was, I mean, he basically eradicated the majority of Al Qaeda and all that, right? Well, that's because he gave the military more authority to do things that they needed to do. He didn't hinder them by making them have to run through, 50 different channels to get approval to do something. Like right now, Biden just made it to where a drone strike on a terrorist has to be approved through all these different channels before the strike's approved, and it can take hours for them to run up the chain of command all the way up to the president. Whereas under Trump, he left it up to the military leaders to determine whether or not it was a justifiable risk to take this person out with a drone strike with minimal or no civilian casualties. Okay, and the military did a good job of it. They weren't taking out civilians. The only time that they would ever even risk any civilian lives would be if our military was in dire straits. We were under attack, and the risk to civilians would still be minimalized. They would try to avoid any areas where there was civilian activity. Okay, but now Okay, say that we have a terrorist leader in our sights right now, and we could pull off a drone strike, but there's a civilian within like 6 blocks of there's civilian activity within like 6 blocks of where this guy's at. They have to run through all these chains of command all the way up to the president to get approval. And like I said, this can take hours and hours. By the time they get approval, that terrorist leader is already gone. He's already moved on to another location. Whereas under Trump, if they could pull off the drone strike of that terrorist leader and minimize the risk to those civilians that are 6 blocks away, they would take the risk and take out their target. And the majority of the time, there was no civilian casualties as a result, because we have to trust our military commanders to do the things that are necessary, and trust their judgment as to whether or not it's safe enough to do these things. I mean, these men are out there. They know what they're doing. They've been doing this, a lot of them, all their lives. But, that brings me to the next subject. Congress and all of them in the Senate and all that, they're wanting to limit the presidential authority to make strikes and so forth. They're actually wanting to have a chain of command for the nuclear authorization instead of the president solely being able to decide this. Now, this is unconstitutional to begin with, but they don't think now that a president should be trusted with that kind of power. Okay, now how is it, even under Trump, they never brought this up? They'd never considered, having a chain of command for the nuclear, codes and stuff. But now, since Biden's in there, they are considering that they want to limit his ability to have access to the nuclear codes. Are they inadvertently admitting that, Biden is an idiot, that he can't be trusted? I mean, come on, even as much as they hated Trump, they didn't try that bullshit under Trump. They didn't try to take away his authority to have the nuclear football and be able to push the button and send the nuclear missiles flying, But here, as soon as Biden got into office, that's one of the first things they're talking about is restricting the president's power to launch nuclear missiles and so forth. So, okay, the way that this works now, if they manage to get this passed, would be, okay, we'll just say Russia fired off nuclear missiles at the U.S. Okay, so now in order to be able to return fire, the president would have to go through Congress to get authorization to retaliate with missiles of our own. Okay, so, and we all know how that works. I mean, it takes them a year just to figure out what toilet paper they want, So by the time they figured it out, America would already have been leveled and there would have been no retaliation for the attack. Okay, so that's basically the way they're wanting to do this. And it's because they know that Biden cannot be trusted. I mean, the man's a total moron. They know this. He's a patsy. He's the puppet for the left. That's all it is. And because they know that he is senile, they want to restrict his abilities as president as to who or what he can attack, or what powers he has to attack with. I mean, if we can't trust the president with the nuclear football and the authorization to retaliate, should he be president? It's a simple question. If you can't trust the man with the nuclear football and the ability to uh, return missile strikes if fired upon, I mean, why would we want this man in office? It just don't make any sense to me. You know, I've never before questioned whether or not a president should have the nuclear football. You know, I've trusted pretty much. I mean, even with Obama, I mean, I didn't like the man, but I still trusted his common sense that he would not, just simply launch a nuclear attack on another country without provocation. But that's what they're worried about with Biden. So that tells you right there that even his own party doesn't trust him. You know, but this stuff has gotten ridiculous. I mean, and the thing is, most of it's distractions. Most everything I've talked about here is just one distraction after another that they are throwing out here to distract us from what they're really doing behind the scenes. Like the House just passed the H1R, I think it is, or HR1 bill, and I mean it's still going to have a battle to be able to get passed into law. But the thing is that it's already made it past the first step, and basically, if you haven't read this bill, what it does is basically it puts a stop to them cleaning the voter rolls, for one. So they won't be removing people off the voter rolls. So if you die, you still stay on the voter rolls. If you move from this state to that state, you're still on the voter roll in this state, even when you register in the next state that you moved to. It makes it easier for illegals to vote. It doesn't require signature verification and stuff like that. I mean, basically, it will help the Democrats to stay in power, is all this bill is for. It will make it harder for any Republican to be elected into office, and, which is the whole point of the bill. They know that, but they're trying to, I forget what they called it, a fair voter bill or some shit like that. But, it's not a fair voter bill. Uh, Election security should be pretty simple. I mean, a fucking 10-year-old should be able to figure this out. First off, you wipe out all those that have, you go through your rolls, all those people that have died, you remove them off of there. Okay? You verify the voters that are still in the state, and anybody that's moved out of the state, you remove them from your roll. Okay? You require voter ID. Every other country in the world that is a legitimate election requires an actual ID to vote. That's not that hard. It's not racist or anything like that. I mean, hell, even Mexico, they use a voter ID to be able to vote. How hard is this to understand? And for people to say, well, it's racist because blacks and Latinos and all that have a hard time getting a ID. That statement in and of itself is a racist statement, because I have never met a valid citizen of the United States that is black or Hispanic or Chinese or anything that doesn't have some form of ID. Okay, you need ID to cash a check. You need ID to buy alcohol, tobacco. You need ID to be able to drive. I mean, you need ID for pretty much everything. You know, you need ID to be able to get a job in this country. Okay, so why would we not have to have an ID to be able to do the most important thing in this country, which is to vote? That doesn't make any sense. It's not about race or any of that other bullshit. It's about making it easier for them to cheat to win an election. Because if you don't have to show ID, you can claim to be whoever, you know, and they'll let you vote. So, yeah, they wonder why people don't trust the elections in this country. Well, you've made it too damn easy to cheat. Stop making it so damn easy to cheat. Shore up our election system. Do the things that are actually required to secure our elections. That's all we ask as a people. But anyhow, I'm rambling on. This has been Dan with We the People. If you like my content, please hit the subscribe button. Share my content with your friends, family, whoever. You know, let's get the word out here about what's going on in this country. You know, give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to support my channel, there will be links. You can buy me coffee, you know, through PayPal or whatever in my description. But I appreciate everybody listening. I appreciate all my subscribers. I thank you all very much for subscribing and listening to the rantings of an old man. You know, come back. You know, make sure you hit that little bell icon too, so that it notifies you whenever I upload a new video. But this has been Dan. Y'all have a good day. God bless. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.